Today, we're going to dig into a really powerful leadership framework from Richard Stearns' book, Lead Like It Matters to God. And here's the thing, this isn't about learning some new management technique. It's about a fundamental shift in your mindset. It's about focusing on who you are as a leader, your character, not just what you can do.
Okay, so let's just start with the big question that gets right to the heart of everything. What does it actually mean to be a successful leader? Is it just about hitting your numbers, growing the bottom line, or is there something way deeper going on?
The book frames this whole idea around two competing scorecards. You've got the world scorecard, which is all about the what, right? The external stuff, the outcomes, the visible successes. But then there's God's scorecard, and that one values the why and the how, your internal character, your motivations, and your faithfulness along the way.
So how do you even begin to lead according to that second scorecard? Well, that's where we get to the foundational shift. This isn't about adding a new trick to your playbook. We're talking about a complete internal transformation.
And it all kicks off with this one big idea: surrender. This means a total, complete release of control. Your career, your ambitions, your idea of what success even is, you let go of it and place it all in God's hands. It's absolutely the starting point for everything else that follows.
And man, this quote from Oswald Chambers, it just hits the nail on the head. He makes it so clear that surrender isn't about, just asking God for stuff or trying to bargain for a good outcome. It's a complete change in your posture where your work itself becomes an act of service. Once you've truly surrendered control, what comes next? Well, it has to be trust, right? Trust is the pillar that holds you up when the inevitable storms of the workplace hit. We're talking about crises, pressure, adversity. Trust allows you to navigate all of it with a real sense of calm. In this metaphor from the Bible, wow, it just paints such a vivid picture. A leader who trusts is like a tree with roots that go deep down to the water. They don't get rattled by the droughts at work, the bad quarters, the tough projects, because their confidence isn't in their immediate circumstances, but in something much, much deeper.
Okay, so once you have that foundation of surrender and trust in place, we can start to see how it shapes a leader's character. This next part is all about leading from the inside out.
And where does that start? With humility. I absolutely love this definition from Rick Warren. True humility isn't about putting yourself down or pretending you're not good at things. It's simply about shifting your focus off of yourself and onto the well-being and success of your team. So what does that actually look like in the day-to-day? Well, a humble leader genuinely values other people. They listen. They see their team members as valuable in and of themselves, not just as, cogs in a machine to get a job done. It's the total opposite of a prideful leader who's only focused on what they can get. Then, right alongside humility, you've got integrity. You can think of it as the leader's moral compass. It's all about making sure who you are in private matches who you are in public. And when a leader really has integrity, it creates this amazing cascade of good things like trust, unity, and just way better morale. All right, next up is love. And I know, love might sound a little fluffy for the boardroom, right? But if you look at it through the lens of this passage from 1 Corinthians, it suddenly becomes this incredibly practical checklist for how to behave as a leader. It's about patience, kindness, and not being self-seeking. So this all boils down to a really simple but powerful question you can ask yourself in pretty much any situation. When you're facing a tough decision, maybe a difficult conversation with an employee, just stop and ask, what would love do here? It's a guide to finding a constructive way forward. Okay, so we've talked a lot about the internal character stuff. Now let's pivot and see how all these values actually show up in the real world and shape the culture of a workplace.
Let's talk about creating a culture of excellence. A shame culture, and we've probably all seen one, is obsessed only with outcomes and blames people when they fail. But a celebration culture? That's totally different. It focuses on best efforts and celebrates diligence, which, guess what, actually motivates people to keep trying and growing.
These values also drive the vision. Vision can be one of those big, vague leadership buzzwords, right? But the book breaks it down into 4 super clear, actionable steps. You have to be honest about where you are now, paint a clear picture of where you want to go, figure out a plan to get there, and then, this is key, the leader has to personally own that vision with passion.
So you see, at the end of the day, this whole framework isn't just some passive feel-good philosophy. No way. It is an active,
dynamic approach to leadership that actually drives real change and inspires people to act.
All right, let's bring this all home. We're going to circle back to that central idea, because this whole framework is really about completely redefining your bottom line.
According to the source, the core identity of a Christian leader is this: you are an ambassador. Your job isn't just to manage a P&L sheet, it's to represent a specific set of values and a higher purpose right there in your workplace.
And honestly, nothing captures this shift better than this incredible quote from Mother Teresa. It just completely reframes the goal. The ultimate measure isn't what the world calls success. It's your consistent faithfulness to your values and your calling.
And that's the ultimate takeaway right there. The framework doesn't just say that faithfulness is more important than success. It redefines success as faithfulness. Living out these values day in and day out, that is the win.
So, I'll leave you with this one final thought, a question to really chew on. When it's all said and done, when your career comes to an end, what do you want people to celebrate? The list of accomplishments on your resume, or the character you showed and the impact you had on the people you led? It's something to think about.